Okay, so 11. 11 is my favourite Doctor, and it is going to be a bit stating the obvious because Moffat likes to say how dark his Doctors are, and you know, that is good, but it's also different from RTD, who doesn't really say anything. So, if you think this is stating the obvious, like I just said, it's stated in the text and it's still what 11 has done and it's still dragging him affectionately. So there you go. So the main thing that 11 needs to be dragged for, because this was the audience not wanting to listen to female characters, is the Clara thing, because at least 12 apologised even though they were unhealthy, which I'll get to in the next video, about, you know, not being her boyfriend. And 11 just kind of treated her badly, treated her like she wasn't really human, or an idealization is still fertilization and all that. So, but he was stalking her, and even though he's sad on the swings, he's still a creep. And obviously she said multiple times that she wasn't a ghost, she wasn't replacing Amy or Oswin from the Christmas and first episode of Silent and the Daleks. But he was still like, oh, you're keeping secrets from me, and shouting at her, and he was still wrong to do that, and it just pisses me off that she's treated like a Mary Sue. And yes, I admit that season 8 is a lot like season 12 with 13, and making season 7's mission more obvious. And I think that Moffat even said in cons, even though it's pretty obvious in season 7 at least, that Heaven was wrong to do that, and yet people still like, you know, oh, Clara's awful in season 7, and I'm very defensive of Clara, as you can probably tell. So that angers me with 11, and probably his worst crime. But we have 9 minutes more to go, so there will be more dragging. So let's talk about the misogyny. I don't think this is just a Moffat thing, although, you know, it's no excuse, but I'll get to that in a second. Because 10 and 9 were pretty terrible to Jackie, and RTD seemed to have a not great relationship with middle-aged women. They were kind of screechy, and then Donna was, you know, given character development, and then the awful mind rape thing. But that is an RTD thing, and we will leave that for a second. But yeah, so 11 didn't have to be like, oh, I'm getting emails, but I'll ignore them. 11 didn't have to be like, oh, River is a woman, that's why she's like this, or women are weird and crazy, and he didn't have to be like, oh, Amy, you've gained weight. And going back to RTD, even though I said I wouldn't, the Sarah Jane adventures with Joe Grant, and he said something like she's been put through a heater, and that wasn't necessary. And so yeah, I think 11 is just kind of a prick in that way, and but also you need to accept that it is Moffat and RTD, and a lot of male writers who just think that sitcom shit is funny. This one is rough for me because I do like 11 and River a lot, but it's not like he treats her very well. I mean, he doesn't trust her. He's quick to get angry with her. Thinking about in the season 6 premiere when I was like, oh, I wouldn't trust you, and just And like in the wedding of no husbands of River Song, one of my favorite episodes because it's so comfort and so 12. I love you 12, but you know I will do the 12 minutes of dragging 12 later on. But yeah, he made her think that he wouldn't come when she asked, and even though obviously he yelled at her for not coming when he asked, and made her think that he didn't love her. And I'm just remember it was so good, and I'm just so sad for her because yeah, some of it is the writing. I mean, I don't think that there's like a big power imbalance with River. I mean, definitely not like how it could be with Rose or Yaz or you know any of the teenage companions, but you can talk about Doctor and River, and the show acknowledged it. So, but I am still talking about it because it's something to drag him for, and yeah, so Husbands of River Song, really good episode. Watch it. It's fun. It's lovely. Go and watch it. So this is kind of still going back to River, and as much as I like Angels Take Manhattan and I cry a lot, and honestly it's like in RTD finals, I mean I keep going back to RTD, I'm sorry, I do like RTD. Finals are kind of big on the emotions but not amazingly tight on the logic, like Doomsday and Planning of the Ways is good. Jenny's End, don't like Last of Time Laws at all. But those two at least, and End of Time as well. So Angels of Manhattan doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but does make me cry a lot. But there is one thing that I do just love and you fucking anyway. So it's when River says, "Don't let him see the damage," and oh, he doesn't like endings. And fucker, you're 900 and plus years old. You should grow up and deal. And I get that Amy is gone and he's depressed, but River just being like, oh wait, I shouldn't let him see the damage, and no, he always starts looking so young, and oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to just treat him like a 5-year-old. And I'm getting really worked up over like a few minutes of line, but it just, like I said, you're 900 plus years old. Get over yourself. Just deal with endings. Thank you. This is just for me and Shallow, but he looks like every 90s accessible floppy head boy that I wanted to be and wanted to crush on. I will keep it at that. And he's a complete, I don't want to say sociopath, because we know that Moffat doesn't really know what psychopath means. But yeah, he's the fairy tale monster who little girls like, not me because I wasn't a little girl, but you know I look like one, and Amy just fall in love with. And I guess that can kind of segue into all the issues he gave Amy. I mean, she has plenty of issues anyway. She is my EPD icon because of abandonment issues. She has impulsive sex stuff. She has it all basically, and I love her and I will defend her to the ends of the earth. But he did give her so many issues, and it's just, yeah, he helped, but he also kind of fucked her over. And we should talk about The Girl Who Waited, because I love that episode and it makes me cry. But he was just awful. And he's manipulative and he lied. And I know Tumblr posts are like, oh, he's the worst and it's bad writing, but it is good writing. And he is supposed to be the worst. He is supposed to be the fairy tale monster and the fairy tale hero all in one. and he knows that he's a madman with the box, but I'm still going to drag him anyway because this is the point of that video. So something else that I enjoy, and to bring 13 into it, you know how she's toxic positive, and yes, that is a intentional thing. It's not a bad thing, but I will get to that in a few episodes, in a few videos, not episodes, not an episode. Anyway, but yeah, so I have a minute left, and you know how she's just, I will hide my darkness and try and be like super positive and super hopeful, but I think that's a response to 11 just as much as it is about 12, because 11 is such an edgelord. He is such a, I will yell loudly about how many times I've killed the Time Lords, I've done so many genocides, and obviously it fucks him over in the season 5 final, but he doesn't actually learn anything, and I get that, but he is just, oh, fear me, I've killed all of them and I have 15 seconds left. But I love 11. He is my favourite, but he is a little shit, and I hope there's more comics that will just get 12 or 13 just slapping him upside the head and calling him an utter prick, because he is. Bye! Okay, so 11. 11 is my